Sunday Night Football, Primetime Revenge. Let's get it. Now, before we get into this preview, quick word from this video sponsor, BetUS.
BetUS, America's favorite sports book, where you can bet on everything anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
Now, the Jaguars are 3-point underdogs going into this game, which is actually pretty surprising since we're playing against a 10-3 team, while the Jaguars are on a 2-game losing streak. I actually figured the spread would be much, much bigger, but it's not. So if you guys are interested in putting some money down on this, whether it's on the Ravens or on the Jaguars, look, BetUS is giving you a 125% deposit bonus right down below. Drop $100, you're going to see $225 show up in your account. So this is something that you guys are interested in, or maybe if you want to get to somebody for Christmas, there's all different kinds of options over there. And the cool thing about BetUS is, like, one complaint about a lot of betting sites is that you don't get your payouts very quickly. Look, BetUS gives you your payout within 24 hours. So really good stuff there. So if you guys are interested in it, man, shout out to BetUS, the #1 betting site on the internet right now. And thank you for sponsoring this video. Now let's get on to this preview. Now, collab alert. Guys, 2 weeks in a row with a different collab. Today we're going to have Ravens YouTuber Engraven Vids come out here and talk about his Ravens.
Before I get started, a special shout out to my guy UCF Jaguar, who has been killing it, destroying everything in a good way for Jaguars fans for years. He's really been putting on for y'all, so shout out to him. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, and please leave a like on his videos because that helps out YouTube channels a whole lot. Me, I am Engraven Vids. I am a big Ravens fan, and my Ravens have the pleasure of coming down to Duval County to take on those Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, let's get started with Trevor Lawrence because he is a big focal point of this game. And we remember when Trevor Lawrence went out with that high ankle sprain against the Bengals, in which that game was insane itself. But one thing that I really admire about Trevor Lawrence, that's why I feel like he is definitely going to make this game tough, is his toughness. I think I read something that said that he hasn't missed a single start since like high school or something like that. And to think about, like, that's insane. So didn't miss any starts in college, but then in the NFL level where everybody's bigger, faster, stronger, and you still never missed a start. Because I was for certain, and not in a good way because I wanted T-Law to play, but I was for certain, when he went out with that high ankle sprain against the Bengals, I was like, oh yeah, well, I guess we're not going to be playing Trevor Lawrence on Sunday Night Football. But I'm glad that he's playing. So you got to give it up for him and how tough he is. And one thing I like about him is that he ain't afraid to make any type of throw, and he will take all his chances downfield. So Ravens defense is going to have to be extra on point for that. Another thing I really appreciate about Trevor Lawrence, he ain't scared. He's not scared of the moment. Well, I really saw that this season. I was watching the Jaguars-Texans game from a couple of weeks ago. And, Texans, they were on a roll. They were on a nice little streak. C.J. Stroud going crazy and whatnot. And the Jaguars, I think they had just thrown a pick. It should have been pass interference, but they had just thrown a pick. And the stadium was going loud. And the Jaguars, they ended up getting the ball back. After a couple of drives, they ended up getting the ball back. And then they had to either move down the field or they were going to punt the ball to the Texans. So I think, the Texans got all the momentum. It's on their side. But Trevor Lawrence, he shut all that down, and they ended up scoring. And they won that game. So I know that, the Jaguars are fighting for a playoff spot. They're fighting for their division because the Colts and Texans are right there up on them. So I know they're going to bring it. And that's one thing that I'm a little bit worried about. A Jaguars team that is not necessarily desperate, but they're in a much tougher situation right now than the Baltimore Ravens. So Ravens are going to need to make sure they keep their foot on the gas and they do not let up. On the flip side, we talked about T-Law, Josh Allen. What does he have, 14, 15 sacks this year? So Ronnie Stanley, Morgan Moses, whole offensive line, because they have been very shaky at times. They are going to need to do everything and more in order to block him and prevent him from even touching Lamar Jackson. Don't even want him looking at Lamar Jackson the wrong way. But with all that being said, Ravens offense has really been rolling over this past month and change, and a lot of different points throughout the season. Their defense, I know last week against the Rams, the defense was a little shaky. They gave up 31 points, but throughout the season, their defense has been pretty good. So I am going to give this one to the Ravens by 8. I'm going to say 31-23. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be one of those games where it comes down to it, but I feel like Ravens just barely close it out. I'm looking forward to a real fun game. Make sure you tune in to UCF Jaguar, his live stream during the game, because I know it's going to be a lot of fun. I love y'all Jags fans. Shout out to any Ravens fans that are watching this too. Appreciate you.
So shout out to Engraven for coming on here. It makes it really simple for me because I don't have to do all this research on these teams. They can come on here and kind of tell from them firsthand since they watch every single snap of their teams, and they got a good pulse of their fan base. So shout out to him for coming on here. Now we can go ahead and talk about our Jaguars. So, teams around the NFL, they generally go through like ups and downs. The Jaguars season kind of started down because, they started off 1-2, which was surprising as we were all expecting big things from the Jaguars this season. And then the Jaguars went out and won 7 out of their next 8 games. So we were just rolling. And then now the Jaguars are kind of in a trough where they have lost 2 straight games. And look, in every game, there's good and bad things. And like even in the Jaguars wins, it's like, okay, we won, but we need to do this better. We need to do that better. And so really winning is a pretty good deodorant. So when the Jaguars have lost, it feels like the sky is falling. Everything is going bad. But look, the Jaguars lost in overtime to a good Cincinnati Bengals team who's actually playing some good football with Jake Browning. And then they lost by 4 to a Cleveland Browns team that was quarterbacked by Joe Flacco. But, he played pretty well in the system when it comes to just making the right reads, making the right throws. And, he came out there and had a pretty good game against us. So now, look, it's a new opponent. We have a Ravens team that's a very, very good team. Look, and make no mistake about it, guys. When I look back and look at the Jaguar schedule right now, this schedule that we had is objectively pretty tough. Look, Jaguars, 10 out of 13 teams that the Jaguars have played this year currently have winning records. We looked at the schedule beforehand. It's like, oh my God, this season is going to be so easy. AFC South is easy. NFC South is easy. But when you look back on it, it's like, dude, like we've had some really tough games. And the Jaguars are 5-5 against those winning opponents and 3-0 against the teams with losing records. But, this might be one of probably the better opponents we played. I wouldn't put the Ravens above the 49ers, but they're probably right below them. I mean, the Ravens are a really good team, and they're playing really good football right now. Look, they've won 7 out of their last 8 games. They put up 30-plus points in 6 out of their last 7 games. They're a hot team right now. So the Jaguars are going to have their work cut out for them. So offensively, the formula to beat them is to score points on offense. Now, I'd like to sit here and say, okay, the Jaguars need to establish a run game. We need to dominate in the trenches. But I think now we know through 13 games that the Jaguars just aren't that team. We don't dominate teams in run games. So we just have to kind of be in a situation where the Jaguars kind of do their best to set up the run through the pass. Just if we can get the pass game going, then it will probably be good for the run game. But right now with the pass game, there's been a lot of miscommunications going on the last couple of weeks. And look, it feels like Trevor Lawrence, when he's throwing the Christian Kirk or Evan Ingram, they're on the same page and everything is perfect. But now Christian Kirk is out. So now Evan Ingram's kind of getting a wild share of the throws. But at this point, we need Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones to step up. Now, there's been this thing going around. Whose fault is it? Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones? Is it Trevor Lawrence's fault? At this point, I don't care anymore. Just figure out how to get on the same page, because the amount of targets that each of these receivers had the last couple games versus the amount of receptions, it was a terrible ratio. Okay, so the Jaguars need to get these guys on the same page and get rid of the miscommunications, because look, at this point, it's time to stop messing around. Look, we have 4 games left. We have a 1-game lead on the AFC South. It's time to close out this thing, guys. There's a very good chance that, look, the Colts play the Steelers, and, maybe those are probably even competition. And then the Texans this week can play the Titans, without CJ Stroud. So, look, there's a real opportunity if the Jaguars can win this. Maybe both these teams in the AFC South lose, so the Jaguars get a big leg up. It's time to put our freaking foot down this AFC South and just win it. Okay. We got to stop just letting these teams hang around. Okay. So there's a chance that, look, Agnew maybe comes back this game. He was activated off IR. He was in this like return to practice window. So I don't know how soon he can return. He was like limited in practice. Cleveland, or Ezra Cleveland, I should say, Walker Little and Britton Strange were all limited in practice this week. I think getting any one of those guys back is huge for the run game, especially with this how bad the run game is going. I mean, look, Britton Strange, like he's pretty good in the run game. That's kind of his bread and butter, and it's been hurting not having him in there. So now the Jaguars will have a big decision to make, like in a situation where Cam Robinson, Walker Little, and all these guys come back. If we have a fully healthy offensive line, you almost wonder if going into the playoffs, they make a change at center, maybe put Tyler Shatley in there instead of Luke Fortner, because Luke Fortner has been the worst offensive lineman on the Jaguars this year. So maybe a decision will have had to be made there. We'll see. So defensively, we've seen a different defense this last couple of games just because of all the miscommunications. It's just the first half of the season, the defense was so good not because they have like elite players, just because like they were playing really disciplined football where everyone was on the same page, everyone was having their assignments. Now it's just coverage busts, and maybe lack of effort. Like Rayshon Jenkins is trying to tackle guys with his shoulder. We've seen a different defense where I don't think the defense is like this. Like our captains, Josh Allen, Foye Oluokun, they need to pull this defense together and say, hey, guys, we need to start playing better, okay? We have opportunities to win these games, and we're not doing it because of us. So, the defense basically lost us the Cincinnati Bengals game. And last game, I mean, it was tough, but they still, critical third down, get them off the field, they weren't stopping them. So got to figure out a way to do that. So, and then with this game, Lamar Jackson is a completely different test in the last couple of games. And, Lamar Jackson, when he's at his best, it's scary. Last year the Jaguars beat Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, but Lamar Jackson had a pretty bad game. So that was a big reason for that. But, when Lamar Jackson is hitting his receivers in stride, when he's making the right reads, he's a dangerous player because we all know his running ability. So the Jaguars, and maybe it's good with our pass rush. We don't have much of a pass rush. We weren't even able to tackle like Jake Browning or like Joe Flacco. So, maybe we're in a situation where if we play really, really good coverage, rush like 3 players and kind of leave like Devin Lloyd as a spy, maybe that's a good recipe for this game. We'll just have to see. So, going forward, I guess I'll say this. No live stream on Sunday, unfortunately. I'm actually going to this game. I'm really excited. My first Jaguar game of the year. A lot of people wonder, why haven't you been to a Jaguar game this year? But I'll be honest with you guys. I have such an overwhelming amount of people that come into my live streams for the watch parties where I kind of feel like I have a duty to kind of do those live streams to kind of take me away from Jaguar games. But I'm being selfish this weekend. Got offered a ticket. I'm going to be there, Lower Bowl. Really excited about that. And to see my Jaguars in person, I can't remember last time it's taken me this long to go to a Jags game, probably in high school. You know what I mean? So really excited for that one. And if you guys see me at the game, holler at me. Okay. I love going to Jacksonville and seeing Jags fans because I don't meet many of them in Orlando. And like, sometimes I'm like, am I just talking to a bunch of robots or these real people? You know what I mean? So it'll be fun. So before I leave, man, shout out to BetUS. Look, Jaguars are 3-point underdogs this game. I'm going to take the Jaguars to win, which means the Jaguars will cover. Okay, so that's something that interests you guys. 125% deposit bonus down below. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Go Jags, guys. Can't wait for Sunday.